Guys, this is going to be a really raw video and I haven't planned it and it wasn't something that was ever on the cards, but I've been having a lot of it recently and I just decided that it was time to talk about it. I basically suffer from health anxiety. Now, you can call it what you want, you can label it health anxiety or you can label it being a hypochondriac. I think the latter of the two is, I don't know what the word is, but I don't think it's particularly nice, you know. If someone's struggling with health anxiety, there's obviously a reason. There's obviously things going on in their brain. They might be just in general a bit of a worrier. That might be their type of personality. So for us to label them as that kind of bothers me, so I do prefer the term health anxiety. I've had this for a long time. I remember when I was young, I choked on a chip, I think, and it was like a really crunchy one and it cut my throat and it got it into my head that I couldn't breathe, and this went on and on for ages, and it was like an irrational fear, like I wouldn't eat chips. I remember being with my friends and our mum. We were at McDonald's and I couldn't eat the McDonald's chips because I just had this fear that I wasn't going to be able to breathe if I ate them. It was like I'd made that association. So it was really bad for a long while, and I remember this one particular occasion that we were through in Glasgow visiting my sister. She lived through there at uni, and I don't know what age I was. I was pretty young. I mean, I was maybe like 13, 14. I'm not sure entirely, but she's 8 years older than me, so work that one out. So I was through there visiting her at uni, and I basically had a panic attack on the way home, and I was with my mum and my gran. I don't know if my brother was there, but I do distinctly remember my gran being there. My mum stopped the car and my gran got out of the front seat and into the back with me, so Sam mustn't have been there. I don't know where he was, but she basically got into the back and just kind of comforted me the ride home. And I think we dropped my gran off, and then I think we went straight to the hospital because, you know, I thought something was wrong with me. I thought that this was it. I was dying. I couldn't breathe. And I remember sitting and my legs were kicking against the seat. Like I had no control of them, maybe because I was panicking so much, I don't know. I remember that distinctly and just feeling like I couldn't breathe. So I went to the hospital and they obviously explained that it was a panic attack. My mum obviously took me there in terms of precautions because you don't necessarily know what's going on with your child. You know, they're telling you that they can't breathe, so I think I would have done exactly the same in her situation. So that was kind of the beginning of it, and I guess it's been around ever since then. It seems to get worse when I have stressful situations in my life. For example, last summer when things weren't going well with my ex, and the stress of that, I think, brought out a lot of the health anxiety. And it was at the point where my friend Jasmine, you know, was saying to me, Sophie, you need to get help about this. This is not healthy. It was really bad, and I was having constant anxiety and panic attacks. I remember having one on the train. And feeling really upset because I was all alone. And I remember the train conductor was sitting next to me and he didn't even ask me if I was okay when I was clearly not in a good place. And yeah, I remember that one distinctly. So it was back quite prevalent last summer. And then when things ended with that relationship, things started to get a little bit better. And I think maybe just because I wasn't under as much stress. And the thing is that stress itself can cause a multitude of, symptoms. So of course, when you're stressed, you're going to have symptoms due to the stress, and then your health anxiety is going to flare up because you think that there's something wrong. So it's all kind of like a big vicious circle. But it's something I've always wanted to talk about, and it's particularly bothering me today. Like I keep getting this strange pain in my back, and yet again it could be completely irrational, who knows, but it's this pain, and I in my head managed to think that it's something really serious. A lot of the time thoughts that come into my head are things such as, okay, well that pain must be from a blood clot. I get a lot of pains in my head as well, and yet again this could all be down to anxiety. Sorry, I feel like I'm shaking this camera. I think I'm going to sit you down here. So that could be a lot to do with anxiety, who knows, but I get a lot of kind of random shooting pains. I've always actually got them throughout my body, and whether that is an anxious thing, I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, that's not the point. The point of this story is that causes this health anxiety. And yeah, I've been having a lot of it today, and when I get these pains, the kind of thoughts that come into my head are, oh, you must have something seriously wrong with you, like something bad's going to happen. I mean, I've had pains as well in certain parts of the front area of my body, and I've thought, oh my god, what if your appendix is bursting? Like, it's like crazy things like that come into my head. And it's really hard. It's something really, really difficult, and I'm going to try not to get emotional, but it's something that affects my daily life. Every single day I have these thoughts. I just feel like I needed to talk about it with you guys, because it's something that I've never brought up and that I've never spoken about, and I feel like you don't know that part of me, and that part of me is such a big, massive part that eventually I did want to share it, because, as I say, it affects my life on a daily basis. I remember another trigger as well. I remember my gran choked. She choked in a restaurant. She choked on her breath, actually. It wasn't even on food. And yet again, I seem to have this irrational fear of choking. So if you're ever eating dinner with me at a table or something like that, and someone chokes, then I immediately look to them, because I'm immediately worried for them. So it's also health anxiety for others. I have a lot of health anxiety for my mum, because she's at the moment having some problems with her ankle. I say my mum, but I've had it with everyone in my family. My dad tells me he had cramp during the night in his legs, and I'm thinking, oh my god, what if he's got a blood clot? So it's this irrational fear, and I know that it's ridiculous, but these thoughts come into my head. So yeah, it's something that I struggle with on a daily basis. It's something that probably eventually the best situation would be to actually get some help. As I say, I wanted to share this with you because I want you guys to know me. I want you to know all of me as a person, and that's a big part of me. And I hate it. I absolutely hate it. I hate that my friends and my family see me like that, and that I am such a worrier. That really upsets me. I don't want to be that person. And you know, it's funny because I watched a video by Dolly Bobo. It was a year or so ago, and it really hit home. It was like one of those videos you could just relate to everything she was saying. And I always remember she said something along the lines of that you're not living because you're constantly worrying about dying. And that for me is just the hardest thing that I could potentially, that I am going through my life on a daily basis, worrying about that and not living life to the fullest, and feeling held back and thinking all these negative, horrible thoughts about what's going to happen, and not being happy and living life and enjoying life. And that's a really, really hard thing to accept. I try to push these irrational fears out of my head. I try to just say, Sophie, come on, like, don't be ridiculous, don't worry about these things, but it's just not as easy as that. It is some sort of thing that goes on in my head that is part of me. I don't know how you get rid of that. I don't know how you deal with that. And as I say, I've never ever sought any help about it, but it's definitely something that's prevalent in my everyday life. I wanted to share it with you because, well, first of all, I want you to know this part of me, but second of all, I want to know, if you suffer with this, that you're not alone, that there are people out there that suffer with it. There's me. and I'm here, and if you want to ask any questions, please feel free to leave them down below, and give me your advice. You know, if you know anyone who's had this issue, if you have this issue yourself, then it means a lot to me to hear any sort of advice. It's a horrible thing, and I wish I could just live in the moment and just live carefree and not get up every day and worry about having something wrong with me, because that's how it is. And I've dreamed up all sorts of elaborate stories in my head, you know. It must be a lump here, there's something wrong, you know, and it's absolutely ridiculous that I would think thoughts like that, but that's the sort of things that come into my head. Or, you know, if I find a rash, then I'm thinking meningitis, or if I get a headache or sore neck, oh my god, meningitis. And so yeah, it's a very hard thing to deal with, and maybe a thing that not a lot of people can understand. But I would say that in general, I don't have normal anxiety. I would say that my anxiety is specific to health and that it's triggered in stressful situations. That's kind of what I've come to realise. But anyway, I'm going to cut short this video. I'm going to go and finish making my dinner, and I can't believe I've just filmed this video in the most random setup, and quite frankly, I'm not even sure I'm going to put it up, but I feel like it was just something I wanted to get off my chest. Anyway, I'll see you all soon with another video, and I'm sorry if this was just pointless and irrelevant, but it was just something I felt I needed to film.